When I put in Tokoro-san no Mamoru mo Semeru mo, oh yeah, this is a bad game. Because like most people who encounter this one, I played it for a stage, decided I didn't need to do anything more, and put it away forever. And that's a little unfortunate, because Tokoro-san no Mamoru mo Semeru mo doesn't reveal how bad it is until you really scratch the surface. There's layers to its awfulness. It's the first game from our second Sony Famicom publisher. This one I believe is their music group, while we've seen games from their video group. This division will make a good game, and I do mean a good game. The rest of what they publish are among the worst Famicom games. The actual developers are a weird mix. ISCO, of course, being the developer of Transformers Convoy no Nazo, and HAL, developers of a lot of great stuff. I hope that what happened is ISCO started development, fell behind schedule, and then HAL was brought in to just wrap the project up, but who knows what the real story is. The Tokoro in the title is Tokoro George, a popular comedian from the time. He was known for writing songs to include in his act. The story of the game is that while in a recording session one day, Tokoro received a telepathic message from his daughter saying that her mother had turned into a robot. They live on the opposite side of Tokyo, so Tokoro has to cross the city to help. None of that makes any sense, and none of it is reflected in the game itself. As for that title, I'm sure Mamoru mo Semeru mo is some kind of joke or pun, but it's one I'm not getting. If I was being really literal with it, the title would be Tokoro's Protect Also Blame Also, so there clearly has to be something else to that. Okay, I've avoided it long enough, let's talk about the game. It's an action platformer where you're armed with a water pistol, and you just have to go from left to right. Some stages have sub-areas that you can get into, either by going down the correct manhole, which you won't know until you fall down it, or you can go into buildings. At the end of the stage you fight a boss, and then you get your choice of doors that will take you to any of the neighboring wards in Tokyo. The water gun is a terrible weapon. Its range is affected by how much pressure is in the gun, so as the tank runs out, your shots don't go as far, and eventually it just dribbles out. You never actually run out, it just drips. And you better get used to that drip, because that's what you're going to have to use most of the time. The way you get more water is by picking up pots, but pots only appear if you shoot in the correct unmarked spot in a stage. And shooting makes your weapon worse. You have to find health recovery items the same way, and there's only a handful of pickups per stage. So basically you have to fire around everywhere if you want to have any chance of locating things. And doing that makes the game worse. This game has probably the worst implementation of that hide all of the objects to make the game harder gameplay design that we've seen. As you're playing along, you'll see these manhole covers. If your water falls on them, they'll flip open, or if a foot stomps on them, they'll flip open. And that lets monsters out that will just get in your way. I'd advise just trying to get past them as fast as you can. And then there are the bosses. Naturally, the game repeats bosses, and this one that you see at the end of the first stage just hurts you for being in the same room as it. No shot, nothing that you can dodge, you just take damage every few seconds while you're in that room. If you defeat the boss and get to the doors, you've got more fun waiting for you. None of the doors are marked, so you just have to guess. And yeah, the doors will take you backwards to stages you've already beaten. They're marked as beaten, but you still have to complete them and defeat the boss at the end to be able to pick another door. The sun and cloud at the top of the screen are a timer. If they ever meet, then a rainstorm starts. You might think that would give you some water, but it blows you around as you try to platform. You only have one life in Tokoro-san no Mamoru mo Semeru mo, but you can continue from the stage you died at 3 times. So basically it's 3 lives with no continue. That text on the screen, by the way, is a parody of a popular song, Love Is Over. If you can't make much progress, you could always cheat. This code will skip the same number of stages as the number of times you press the A button at the end. There's a choose-your-own-adventure style adaptation of this game, and apparently that's something that Tokoro George worked on himself. It also actually has absolutely nothing to do with the game except sharing the title. So obviously, Tokoro-san no Mamoru mo Semeru mo is just about unplayable. I'm going to assume that the fact that Tokoro can platform decently, and how the physics on the water droplets work, are due to HAL Labs. But the bland stage design, and horrible design decisions, I'm going to blame all of those on ISCO. In a weird way, it kind of feels like they were trying for something similar to Takeshi no Chosenjo, and they somehow wound up with something worse.